Firmly established as the place to race in Asia, it's time to kick off the GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS 2026 season here at its traditional jumping off point, Sepang, and its 8th visit to the home of Malaysian motorsport. It's the first of 6 stops on this year's calendar that will also visit Indonesia and Japan. And here is the circuit layout, 5.5 kilometers in length, 15 turns, and a real favorite for our teams and our drivers, available 24 hours a day to come testing throughout the year. Although a lot of resurfacing done over the winter, over the last couple of months, has meant not so much access to the track and a little bit of change to some of the runoff. GT World Racing kicked off last weekend in Australia and America. Here is what happened. After a wet race 1 at Phillip Island, a great sunny day for race 2, but the same chaos into turns 1 and 2, where multiple cars went off on both days. At the front, the Mercedes of Jaden Ajada with Brendan Leach, Brock Feeney and Jackson Evans off at turn 1. Ryan Wood was on a robust return through the field, and after the pit stops, Sergio Perez had moved himself up to second in the Mercedes, but got harpooned by that Audi and into retirement. It was still a Mercedes victory thanks to Jaden Ajada and Paul Luchetti. In America, it was the first ever 3-hour race in GT World Challenge America, with McKay Stevens leading the field in his Mercedes, but there was drama as Slade Stewart retired through this incident and a safety car was called. Into a pit window and plenty of side-by-side action as the field began to sort itself out, at times a little physical. In the pit stops, Michael Grenier took over the Mercedes and was soon hunted down by Frederick Schandorf in the Ferrari. Further back, this great move on the undulating Sonoma circuit, but Grenier held on for victory for his teammate Michael Stevens for JMF, and a second win of the weekend for Mercedes-AMG in the global rankings. Welcome to the Sepang International Circuit and to the 8th season of GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS. We've got brand new cars, brand new teams and brand new drivers for your delectation, and 6 of our global manufacturers represented here: Porsche, Mercedes-AMG, BMW, Ferrari, Lamborghini and Audi. And they are joined by Japanese Nissan team. Lu Wei surely starts as favourite. He lost the title on countback last year. But perhaps most importantly, double champions Bob Wan and Leo Yi are not returning. Surely this entry has to be the best chance of scoring Origin's 3rd consecutive Drivers' Championship. Anthony Liu will have something to say about that. The 2023 champion was the last man to beat Bob and Leo. But without a win last year, the Phantom car is surely going to be in contention this year. The Absolute Racing Porsches welcome back 2019 runner-up and class champion Bitterkorn Intrapubisak, who won TSS last year, while Huang Ruhan moves across to Porsche from Lamborghini alongside reigning Porsche Super Cup champion Alessandro Giretti, who could prove this season's breakout star. BMW have never won a race overall in GT World Challenge Asia, but surely this is the year. Reigning Silver AM champion Tony Yuan now shares the first of KRC's 2 BMWs with Works driver Neil Verhagen, whilst his former co-driver Max Usend moves across to partners GTO's Brian Lee. Mercedes were the global manufacturers champions last year, and equal most successful brand here in Asia with 21 victories. But hopes lie on the shoulders this year of an AM pairing and 2 silver AM pairings. Craft Bamboo's Dean Chen and Jai Tong Liang, plus Climax Racing's Li Li Chao, Elias Sepanen, Mike Zhou and Setuan Santoso. Could the overall champions be a Silver Cup crew? Last year's class champions Chen Kongfu and James Yu Kwai return with Phantom and Audi. Frankie starting his 7th season in the series. But it's all change at Go Jigen, where Super GT veteran Takayuki Aoki partners young Nismo Hotshu at Sushi Mayaki in the Nissan. At Lamborghini, Akish Nandi represents the brand solo. After a winless 2025, he'll be hoping to repeat his win in 2024. In AM, David Tiptoe Bianturo and Garage 75 are aiming for an unprecedented 3rd consecutive title with Ferrari. But they will again face strong opposition from last year's runner-up, Setawan Santoso, who brings his Mercedes to join Mike Zhou at Climax Racing. Yu Hangchang and Wang Zhongwei partner in an Origin Porsche, while Amac's Andrew McPherson and Ben Porter have a new Porsche GT3 R Evo. And one last prize to look out for, the SRO GT Academy. Open to silver-graded drivers under the age of 30. That's 7 drivers in GT World Challenge Asia. They will be scored on consistency and lap time and various other parameters to win a seat at the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. Loads of stories, loads of excitement. Let's get started. And the grid is absolutely buzzing for the start of this season. My name is Ben Constanduros, and alongside me, Sandy Stuvik in the commentary box. It's getting warm out there, the excitement, but also perhaps the weather, Sandy.
It's keeping us on our toes, as it always does here in Sepang. So let's see how it develops over the race.
Now, a Lamborghini on the pole position. Akish Nandi, the only driver to decide to do this solo all season. He's got to do the full hour. He's not sharing that car with another driver. It's a big challenge for him.
Yes, absolutely. Being the sole Lamborghini as well and having to do this extremely physical race all alone will definitely be a tall challenge, but I think Akash is the man for the job.
Now, because he's a single driver, there's an extra 3 seconds in the pit stops. That's the sort of the compromise, but he gets back out onto circuit with the experience the previous session. He shouldn't lose too much time getting up to speed. Let's hear from him on the grid with Amy.
And the solo driver. And also the solo on track. I'm very keen to know more about the car. Can you tell us more about the Golden Bull?
This car, like I said earlier after quali, it is a bit more physical compared to some of the other cars on the grid. I've had some experience in the Audi before, so it's a very good direct comparison. And I have to say, this car, when you extract the performance, is very satisfying. Again, it's not easy to drive. You have to be physically strong as a driver to handle this car. I mean, it's a bull. You know, it's completely different to everything else. But yeah, it's been good. It's been a very good learning curve for me as well, and I'm still understanding the car more, and we'll find more pace out of it.
Despite all the factors, do you think you can enjoy the view from, you know, this pole position, and what are you looking forward to the race?
Well, first of all, I'm looking forward to not having anyone in front of me and keeping the lead all the way. But I'm actually just looking forward to doing a good job, no mistakes, no penalties, and staying out of trouble. I think that's the biggest thing in a race, especially in GT World Challenge. Anything can happen. So our job is just to keep our head down, focus, and complete how we started the race.
Hope to see you on the podium, and good luck.
Thank you.
Shared that Lamborghini last year with Juan Ruhan, who is the amateur driver that actually will start directly behind him now in a Porsche. But he's got an Audi alongside him, Sandy. The Lamborghini based upon the Audi, but it's such a different car to drive. You've driven both.
Very true. I mean, they're based on the same chassis, but the behavior of the car is very different. So the Lamborghini definitely has uniqueness, I would say, on corner entries, more so than the Audi. But overall, they're quite similar packages. So it will be very interesting to see how those two take the start.
We're going to go back down to Amy in just a few seconds to have a chat with one of our brand new drivers in the championship. A new combination in the 500 Nissan. Let's hear from Aoki.
And back on the grids with Aoki Takayuki driving the 500 Nissan this year. They have a whole new package, so let's ask them about that. まあ今シーズンね、パッケージがガラッと変わったこの500、5次元チームなんですけれども、どんな意気込みで挑みますか？ポジションは悪くないです。
まあこのシリーズ出ること自体初めてなので、まあ最初なのでちょっと楽しんでいければなと思ってます。
目指すは P 何で帰ってきますか？
これは前に1台でも前行けるようにそれは頑張りますよ。
では三宅選手にね、助けをつなげるように、はい、頑張ってください。
はい、ありがとうございます。
So for him, it's the first time driving in this GT World Challenge Asia, so he is a little bit nervous. He will try to overtake a few cars, hopefully giving back the car safely to Miyake, and then from there we'll see. Back to you.
Takayuki Aoki, the Super GT 300 champion from 2001, sharing with Nissan's works driver Atsushi Mayaki, who has done a weekend in GT World Challenge a couple of years ago in a McLaren before he became a Nissan works driver. But all change at a fan favourite team, a team that got victories last year in that Nissan. It's a fast car, Sandy.
Yes, the Nissans are known for being fast on the straights, and I think that's a characteristic they carry into this race as well.
Big straights here at Sepang, down into turn one, into the last turn as well. She's on the left-hand side of the grid there, and it's very busy right there. Let's go back down to Amy, who's right in the thick of that clump of cars at the start.
And back on the grids with Alessandro Giretti. Welcome to GT World Challenge Asia. How is it so far?
Thank you very much. Yeah, so far it's been really well. This morning in Q1, Ron put the car in P1 in his class, P3 overall, so really good job to him. The team did amazing, so big thanks to Absolute Racing. And yeah, it's such a pleasure to start my first year in GT3 here in GT World Asia.
So I have a big question mark. You are in kind of a sandwich situation in between the silvers. Can Yuan hang with the silvers?
Yes, he will manage. I mean, he's such a good driver. He showed his pace in the quali already. And yeah, I hope the best for him. We see what he can do now. And then yeah, I hope he gives me the car in the best position possible. And then I will manage to do something great.
And you also have a 3-second advantage compared to the silver. So I guess that gives you advantage too.
Yeah, exactly. The target for him is to stay in contact. And then if he can manage to be under those 3 seconds, we can overtake them back in the pits, and then we see.
Perfect. All the best luck to you too.
Thank you very much.
Catching up with Alessandro Giretti just a little bit earlier on before the start. There is Lu Wei's car, which is involved in an investigation for contact in the pit lane. We did wonder why he took a bit of a while getting out onto circuit. Hasn't been clarified exactly yet, but contact with Brian Lee's number 10 BMW. So a story already developing there. Just going back to Juan Rohan. In the Lamborghini last year, alongside Aki, she's moved to the Porsche. It's going to be a massive difference. But he's an AM driver right in the thick of those silvers.
Yeah, I mean, Ron has driven fantastically all of last season, and he's definitely one of the fastest bronze drivers on the field right now. So it will be very interesting to see if he can stay with the silvers that he's currently hanging with.
A reminder, 2 formation laps to get all these drivers' nerves as much out of their system as possible at the start of a brand new year in GT World Challenge Asia. Some may have done a bit of racing in the off-season. There was a couple of opportunities. Some may have been racing last weekend at the start of the Chinese Championship, but some may not have stepped in a car since October last year around a street circuit in Beijing. Very, very different to the challenge of Sepang. And of course, we keep an eye out in the sky. The teams were preparing those wet tyres as I came up to the commentary box a little bit earlier. Cross our fingers, because when it rains here, Sandy, it's not a little bit of English drizzle.
No, when it rains, it pours here. So let's see what happens. But right now, the skies are looking quite clear, I think.
Well, that is good news. Earlier on, Amy was catching up with so many drivers down on the grid. We can hear from a new man in our championship, Neil Verhagen, BMW Works driver.
And back on the grids with also a rookie in this season, Neil Verhagen. Or Verhagen.
Verhagen is good, yes.
Verhagen. So welcome to GT World Challenge Asia. Your partner is reigning champ of Silver Am of last year. This year going for Pro Am. Is that heavy on your shoulders?
For sure. I mean, they had great success here last year. We saw that the performance was strong. Obviously, the goal is now to contend for the Pro Am Championship and try to win overall now.
And tell me more about yourself and the BMW as a package racing this track.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, first time for me here coming with the BMW. I've been with BMW now for, I signed in 2020, so yeah, my 6th season going with BMW. It's been a great partnership so far, and just very happy that I'm able here to support Tony and the guys, and looking forward to a great race.
Amazing. So have fun on track, and all the best luck.
Thank you so much.
BMW Works driver Neil Verhagen with us from America. Previously a BMW Junior driver, went through a massive program with Dan Harper, and great to have a man of his caliber here on the grid. Here is the grid then. Silver Am pole position for the number 25 Porsche Center Okazaki, with another Porsche on the Am pole for Origin Motorsport, 2 drivers new to Porsche. The Pro-Am pole position with Gueretti and Ron Juan, as we mentioned earlier, right to the sharp end of the field, just behind, in fact, the pole from Silver, as you would expect in race 1, Mahesh Nandi in his Lamborghini. And the full grid then, Nandi alongside Frankie Chen Kong Fu on the front row. Ron Juan is on row 2 alongside Andy Dung, Silver driver there. And then that new lineup for Silver in the Nissan 500 on row 3 alongside Andres Pato. Then we have Anthony Liu and Wei Lu, the big favourites for me on row 4. And Hang Cheng Liu, Vitakornan Trapudhasak, Setuan Sotosho and Hiroyuki Nagai on row 6. Row 7 has another of the Japanese cars, Uchima alongside Kun Fan. Andy Tan returns in his Absolute Racing Ferrari alongside Ben Porter, Dean Chen and Brian Lee on row 9. Li Chao on row 10, and then Sun Jae-zi and Son Jae-jun. And the tail of the field, David Chipto Biantoro with some struggles in that Garage 75 Ferrari. He's 4th of the AMs, our champion from last couple of years. And so that's a slight disappointment to start this first race, although he is on pole for the 2nd race on Sunday. Cars then making their way around their 2nd formation lap. And the reason for this 2nd formation lap, Sandy, just to get those drivers relaxed.
Yeah, get some heat in the tires so that everything's at a safe operating temperature, the brakes as well, so that we hopefully minimize any dramas in the first few corners.
Of course, once they get to the grid, it will be a standard start. Even though the clock has started after the first formation lap, they will go into that 2x2 formation. I noticed there's a lot of stringency over that start procedure this year. A directive from the FIA to make sure that the cars are in 2x2 formation, that there's not too big a gaps between them. And so it's fair for everybody. And there is various levels of tidiness when it comes to a rolling start. But actually, I have to say, it's well managed here in GT World Challenge Asia.
Yes, absolutely. They do certainly set the standard in Asia. So we're expecting a very clean start.
But as those cars start going slower, less airflow through them, less airflow into the cars. Some of those pro drivers will have the air conditioning turned off to try and just extract a little bit of extra power from the engines for the first couple of laps, and then maybe turn it back on when things settle down again. For the AM drivers, they probably will be happy with the comfort of a little bit more air blowing into their faces. Although if you open the window, it's pretty warm air. It's like having a hairdryer.
It's very warm, so that little bit of AC is much appreciated in the cars that have it.
Toyota Supra GR heads the leading pack towards the final turn. This off camber, left-hand hairpin. Then they've got to get themselves back sorted again to run through the grid hatchings And then we can get our first 1 hour encounter of the year underway here in Sepang. Every single year we visited this circuit in GT World Challenge history. It's no stranger to anybody on the grid, and it always provides us with exceptional action. Lamborghini versus Audi, Porsche and Ferrari. We're about to go racing for 2026 here in GT World Challenge Asia. And the lights turn off, and they all fan out nice and cleanly. And Akish Nandi on the front of the field with that slight advantage over the Audi, cuts across him and takes a clean lead into turn 1 ahead of Frankie Chen, who I think just snatched a break going into turn number 1. Audi trying to make it 2 and 3 around the outside, but failing to do so. And that switchback is always a little bit tight in the middle of the pack. It looks as though we might have got all 23 cars through turn number 3. And now the Nissan challenging for 4th, heading up to turn number 4. Defensive work going on from Ron in the 911 and holds that position, but opens the door for the Nissan to look down the inside. I'm not sure if he's going to make that stick on Andres Pato. Pato holds on.
Really nice start and very close now. The Nissan looking for a way past the Audi here.
Andres Pato, who's really driving in his mirrors, isn't he? Obviously hasn't quite got the confidence in that car as yet, so he's looking to see where he can defend rather than just concentrating on what's up ahead of him. Liu Hangchang in the pink and white Porsche behind. He's had a good start actually, because he's managed to get himself ahead of Andy Dung in the 96 Ferrari, that silver and red machine at the tail of shot, and Anthony Liu trying to make up some ground in the back of shot. It's as you were behind that Ferrari with Lu Wei and then Anthony Liu line astern, then a gap to the Japanese Porsche. But not big progress really made by anybody. I have to say, probably the best progress made by the AM car, the number 22 up in 6th position. Liu Hangcheng with experience in this championship, 2 years. Was in a Ferrari last year with Harmony Racing, so being in that pink Porsche is going to be a big, big difference to him.
Big difference, obviously. Rear engine in the Porsche compared to the mid-engine Ferrari.
But he has a Ferrari on his tail, flashing the lights, looking to try and get down the inside. If you're racing class to class, then that 22 has a mammoth advantage over Santoso down in 13th position, a little bit wide through turn 1. Dung gets himself on the grass. These guys would have been teammates last year at Harmony. And the Nissan has managed to get past Pato in the Audi, so Aoki up into 4th position. Silver, silver, then there's an AM in that Pro-Am car, and then Aoki in the Nissan. Getting the feeling here that Andy Dung is getting a little bit frustrated, a little bit held up behind this Porsche right now.
It looks like Andy's got a little bit more pace than the 2 cars in front of him, so he'll be looking for a way past. Into 7 here is going to be difficult. Maybe he can set something up into the hard braking of T9.
Really underneath that rear wing of the Porsche. The Porsche gets a little squirrely, so does the Ferrari. Nice big braking zone coming into turn number 9, but actually I think he lost ground, didn't he, by sliding through 7 and 8, and hasn't managed to send it down the inside. Next opportunity.
Next one, perhaps into 15 if he can stay tight, or make a dive down into 14.
I mean, ultimately, if you're racing in all these different classes, Silver, Pro-Am, Silver Am and Am, do you want to fight this hard for something that is inconsequential to you, but are you really happy to be up in 6th position in an Am car?
Well, as a driver, I mean, you're always looking forward, so they're still fighting for the overall, so the incentive to get in front of the car is very high.
Liu Hangcheng then to the inside line, trying to find a way past Andres Pato, Andrew Harrianto. They're side by side, running through the final turn, and I think he may not quite have the overlap, but that tighter line may have allowed him to carry a bit more momentum. It's also compromised him slightly, look, because the Ferrari all over him out of the corner, but by the end of the straight, not close enough. Maybe that Ferrari just lacking a little bit of top end. He's going to go around the outside. Nice move from Andy Dung down the inside there and up himself into 6th position. Needed to do that, but sort of got himself in a position there thanks to the attack that didn't work out from Liu.
Yeah, it looks like that Ferrari is very powerful on the brakes and into the corner, so we saw Andy utilize that to get past the 22 Porsche.
So even if it was a little bit weak coming out along the main straight, these cars are all slightly different in different areas.
Correct, so they've got their strengths and weaknesses, so it's up to the drivers to utilize the strength, try to put your opposition on the back foot or know where the other car is weak and attack there.
Now, next focus for Andy Dung, who is the 4th of 4 silver cars, so he is losing ground to his opponents, and effectively, although he's in 6th position, last in class, and sitting behind Andres Pato, is losing time as well to Aoki ahead, so needs to make light work of this phantom Audi sport machine. Pato sharing the car with Jackson Evans, the New Zealander who will be jumping in the car in the second half of the race, qualified well, racing last weekend as well over in GT World Challenge Australia. So race sharp. Oh, but Pato runs a little bit wide. Surely that's going to allow Andy Dung up the inside into 15, especially considering there is so much open ground on the inside of that turn. You don't necessarily need to take the racing line. But that Ferrari, just even in the slipstream, can't quite get close enough. Has to do it on the brakes, has to do it in the talent parts of the corner. And he's going to really, really need to bide his time and be patient here, Andy Dung.
Yes, here we can see in the toe, it just looks like that Ferrari is struggling to stay with him, but expect something into T1.
Goes to the right, then to the left. Pato sits in the middle of the road. How frustrating that is for Andy. Trying to go around the outside, hasn't quite got the overlap to sort of jam yourself down the inside at number 3. And now outside line, more momentum. Perhaps this straight not quite as long, so can stay a bit closer to the Audi into 4.
Perhaps 4 is also a difficult place to make a move unless you're very close.
He isn't close enough. And look, even the 22 of Liu Hangcheng is able to stay with him. Despite losing those positions, really, Liu only lost the positions because he was trying to attack, and Anthony Liu now joining the party as well in that red and yellow machine. The Origin car in the background of Lu Wei, involved in a collision before the start of the race, and it seems as though Brian Lee has been deemed as responsible for that, a collision in pit lane. So there's a penalty coming for the number 10 machine that is down in 15th position. And hopefully not too much damage to Lu Wei's car. We haven't visually seen too much damage to it, but he's not able to stay with Anthony Liu ahead at the moment. Liu onto the tail of Hangcheng Liu. And there is our lead. Akish Nandi leading the race. Silver driver by 3 seconds. 1.5 seconds over Ron Huan in the 911 Porsche. Fastest lap of the race for Nandi. And at the moment it is silver, Am, and then Aoki in the Nissan, the 3rd of the silvers. But in one camera shot you can see the top 4. Oh, and a great overlap now for 5th position. Possibly Andy Deng's best opportunity yet. It's going to be on the outside into turn number 1. The Audi has certainly better legs along the straight, but Andy's stronger on the brakes. Can he go around the outside and shut the door? Nice move by the young Chinese driver. That is the way to do it, and now he can scamper off up the road.
A very nice move by Andy there, and we have to applaud the defensive effort by Andres as well. I mean, he's held behind him a much faster driver for many laps now.
That's hurt Andy Dung though. That really has created how much of a gap. Another 4 seconds before he can get up to Aoki. So he's got clean air now. Let's see what he can do as we looked a little bit further down in the pack. Obviously leading the AMs is that pink and white Porsche. the number 22 of Han Cheng Liu. Second is Santosho, there he is. And actually that is Liu going up the inside of Pato. So moves back up a position then, up to 6th spot. Whoa, Pato taking a bit too much curb over 8, the car bouncing around. Oh, that's the worst feeling when suddenly you start breaking traction and you're not sure how it's going to land.
No, especially on that bounce out of T8 there, it's easy for the car to unsettle itself, as we see Andres here under heavy pressure from Anthony.
We know how attacking Anthony Liu can be over the years. A man, Sandy, you would have raced on track in the early part of GT World Challenge Asia. He's done almost every single season, has Anthony Liu. 6 wins to his name, equal most successful with the car behind. Now, was that a move from Vutakorn? I'm not sure. I think this is more of a battle, isn't it?
Looks like that.
Into Puvasak and Nagai going at it for 10th spot. We ride on board with Nagai. He's on the outside. He's got good straight line speed in that Porsche. They're both the same, so you can't blame it on Bob.
Yeah.
Viti presumably up the inside still. There he is, but there's side by side up ahead. Runs off the circuit to allow the car to keep the traction. And there will be track limit warnings going on. Oh, Liu trying to go up around the outside of Pato. Pato sits in the middle of the road, defends. Here comes Lu Wei. That's going to be easy pickings, isn't it? Because poor old Anthony Liu is properly boxed in there. And again, from attack to defense. If you don't make the move stick, oh, Vutakorn's gone around. And it's been contact with Nagai, who's lost his front bumper in the background. Literally the last time I saw Vutakorn in Puvasak racing, that was exactly where he had an accident about 3 years ago. And that's compromised him massively. What a shame. So Lu Wei up ahead now of Anthony Liu. All trying to get past a fast qualifying, but ultimately perhaps not got the race pace. Andres Pato. I mean, okay, now Pato is in 2nd position, but this is now class fighting, isn't it? He wasn't so worried about the silver and the AM, but this is all in class. Now look at the back of shot here. On the left-hand side, we're just going to catch... Oh, Nagai's already lost it through 1.
Yeah, that's difficult to call from this angle here. We've got an onboard. We see the 81. Ooh.
He hadn't lost control of the car. That onboard unfortunately really shows that, I don't know, thought it was possible, but just wasn't alongside enough.
I guess just a miscommunication between the drivers there. Maybe they thought there was some room.
Either way, there's going to be big damage to both of those cars. Into Puvasak down to 18th.
Well, as we just saw, the 96 looked like he was going slowly.
Yeah, you're right. On the tracker, if the camera opens out, there's a slow Ferrari. No, at the back of shot. And Andy Dunga got himself up into 5th position. As we go over the line, the bar on the left-hand side will update, but I think the Ferrari is heading to the pits if it can get there. It may have well parked up, actually, on the back straight. Meanwhile, Anthony Liu tries to go around the outside of Lu Wei. No doing through turn 1 there. Bit of a slide from Andrew Haryanto, Andres Pato just ahead. Big fan of ducks. If you remember, years and years ago, that car was liveried and covered with ducks. And then Andrew started calling himself various names of, or translations of the word duck. Trying to see what might be the issue there. It's difficult to see, but that car properly not going anywhere. Somebody else running down pit lane, which is the number 18 of Porsche Center, Okazaki, involved in that collision at turn number 2. But I wonder whether we might need a safety car to recover 96. Dolly jacks under the 18. Bodywork all askew on the right front corner, and real disappointment inside that car. I guess there's moments as a driver where you think the door's going to open when it just doesn't.
The judgment on either of those drivers there. I mean, they were both running their line, and yeah, unfortunately, this is just one of those things that can happen in close racing.
And that front right corner will have steering damage. Will have probably made contact with the rear axle of Interpuvasak, who may well also have something a little bit awry. But we are continuing to race for the moment. No sign of the safety car covering off. And you're doing, it's a pretty safe area actually to park. Halfway up the straight, there's a long opportunity for drivers. And there are some of our pro drivers getting themselves ready. There, Dorian Boccolacci on your left, Jackson Evans in the middle, and James Yu Kwai to the right-hand side. And now we go full course yellow. Look how close Lu Wei and Anthony Liu have got to the tail of Andres Pato. Everyone now has to trundle along. You got a button, right, in the car you can press?
Yes, so you have a full course yellow button, and then that will limit the car speed to 80 kilometers per hour, neutralizing the race as they hopefully can clear the 96 from the circuit.
Yeah, and the idea initially, if you could do a short full course yellow, is to go back under racing without compressing the field, and so that people don't lose their gaps, because if you are Akish Nandi, you have an advantage over someone like Liu Hangchang, or even more significantly, I suppose, Andres Pato in 6th position. There's a gap of 26 seconds. That's a proper full pit stop. You don't want to lose that, because then you've got the pro drivers getting in, and you're having to compete with them. So it would be horrible if we do go safety car.
Yeah, for the Silvers, this is not ideal. If they can stay in a full course yellow, it would be beneficial for the Silvers. But if we go to a safety car, then yes, the Pro-Am cars definitely gain an advantage.
Race control hoping to keep this a short full course yellow. That announcement means that we won't go to full safety car. But if, for instance, they get to that Ferrari and find that it isn't an easy fix, if temperatures start to drop, tyres and brakes, that is then why we go back to full course yellow, because actually to safety car, because a safety car can go faster than you can when you're under full course yellow.
Yes.
Impressive from Liu here in the first part. This is an Am car. We've not seen an Am car up in the top 10 for a while.
Extremely impressive to be running in the top 5. They've done a fantastic job, and definitely the Origin team have a very powerful car.
Worth pointing out that Hangcheng Liu was in partnership with Harmony Racing last year in a Ferrari, has participated in 18 races. If we go back to green flag racing, his best result, 11th in this race last year. So it is not as though he was in a Pro-Am car and had mega results, but he's in an Am car at the moment and in a much, much higher position. Of course, we're going to get the pros in. Of course, that's going to change things. But with that short, full course yellow, the gaps remain the same, and he is able to get away from Pato and, more significantly, perhaps, Anthony Liu and Wei Lu. And I pause because Anthony Liu has got ahead of Wei Lu on that restart. All about reactions.
Maybe he was faster to react when they called the green again, and then grabbed a position there.
In that sort of situation, are you relying upon your team to tell you when it's going to be coming in, or are you looking at flags, or how does that work?
So luckily inside all of these cars there's a flag system, or a system that tells you how much longer, and it gives you a countdown. So the drivers are fairly well informed in the cars, and this also adds to the safety aspect.
Yeah, one of those classic things of the early days of our full course yellow procedures, where people didn't react, and then you had almighty shunts because some people slowed down and some people didn't. And having those countdowns in front of the drivers has made a big, big difference. Looking at the back of shot, oh, we've got the full course yellow at the top there, still flashing. And when it goes off, they can react. Oh, great reaction from Anthony Liu. And really not from Lu Wei. Instantly losing a position there.
Maybe he was unlucky, just looking down at his dash, checking pressures or something, and then at that moment they called the green, so.
Pressed a button that didn't then work, perhaps. familiar already to me today. Back to racing then. Nandi leads Frankie Cheng. Ron Huang in third position. Aoki fourth. Then Han Cheng Liu, the best of the AMs. Pato, Liu, and Lu Wei, 7th and 8th. With Uchima in 9th, the second of the Porsche Center Okazaki Porsches. And Setawan Santosho is the best Mercedes in 10th position, second AM. Right now, we've got Pro-Am scattered across the whole field, haven't we? All the way down to the number 72 of Jay-Z in 18th spot. It's going to make the second half of the race a lot of fun for some of these pro drivers.
Yes, this will be very interesting now to see how all of this shuffles out, and definitely this battle we're watching right now.
No success penalties from last year. Oh, Pato's outbraked himself into the final turn, and it's please come through the inside to the two Porsches. He's going to get enough of momentum and enough of a run to perhaps challenge back one of the cars. Sort of a start of a qualifying lap strategy, that one.
Yeah.
Here comes Lu Wei, though, back down the inside. Is there an overlap? Not quite. There's a bit of contact, perhaps. Little bit of contact just to unsettle, and more contact. And that looks like more damage to me to the Porsche than it is to the Audi. Got away with it, perhaps. And now Lu Wei looks to the inside. Surely can get this done into turn number 4. He's going to have the overlap, but just how much damage was done? I think more to the Louvre of the Audi at the back there, isn't it? And finally gets it completed, but it's taken a good 10 minutes to do so. And he will have known that Anthony Liu was getting away at a rate of knots. He really has disappeared. Waiting for the pit window to open, which it has done now. Just having a look to see if I think everybody had passed the pits, so nobody has been able to take advantage of coming in an early lap. Here is our race vision powered by AWS and showing the different sectors of the circuit where we've got different performances, but we don't, because it's Akish Nandi who is dominating across all 3 sectors for the moment in his Lamborghini. That is going to change in the second half of the race, because we're getting pro drivers in the cars, and of course, in theory, they're changing onto new tyres, Sandy.
Yes, so now we get to see some of the strategy come into play. Obviously, if teams elect to use new tyres today, they've got 1 set less for the race tomorrow, as we just look back on this contact here.
A little bit naughty?
There wasn't anywhere to go in the middle of the corner, so maybe a little bit impatient.
It's definitely the Louvre of the rear of the Audi that disintegrated. I think they're even looking at the winglets, the tiny winglets on the front of that Porsche. They may have actually got away with it. It's not a mammoth deal, but I wonder whether race control will not particularly like it. Massive lockup from Lu Wei. Look at the lines he's left, getting down to 50 kilometers an hour. Blimey. Now for the pit stops. 93-second pit stops for all of our competitors except Akish Nandi, who will take 96. Do not be longer. If you are longer, do not be shorter, sorry. If you are shorter, then you'll get a penalty. If you're longer, you lose track time. But look at this. Everybody who's got a pro to put in their car, or even a silver to put in their car, in pit lane. But our silvers at the front of the field staying out. They don't want to come in to a congested pit lane. And whilst the driver feels good, ooh, we've got a spinner. And that is Santosho in the number 8 Mercedes. Hasn't yet handed over to his teammates, so that's the last of his laps. And that's going to be a big loss of time. He was right up there. 911 leaves pit lane. Ron Huang handing over to Alessandro Guiretti. Porsche Super Cup champion from last year. Porsche Carrera Cup champion the year before, and in Asia and France. He is an absolute megastar, the Frenchman. And let's just see how he gets on, because he's got to be hunting down this Lamborghini when he gets back out onto circuit. It's very, very busy in pit lane. Anthony Liu handing over to Boccolacci. Picarello in board the number 4 now, as we ride on board with the Audi number 16 that comes into pit lane. Andres Pato has held on for a long time. He's handing over to Jackson Evans. As I say, raced last weekend in Australia in a different car. Has raced with us before last year. Best result was 10th in Fuji. But he's got some hunting down to do of Boccolacci, of Picarello. And now just waiting for the clock to count down. So all the servicing done, tyres changed, driver bolted in, and they can all do that happily within the 93 seconds. You were saying you've experienced Alessandro firsthand as a young driver. He is so hungry for victories, always.
Always pushing the limit, always at the top of wherever he competes. So it's no surprise that he has been successful here so far. So let's see what his pace can be.
Now the Super Cup car, quite different to the GT3. He has, of course, plenty of experience in GT3, but limited endurance experience, and that sort of keeping a car to the end of the race is still something that I get the feeling he's learning about.
Yeah, I'm sure Alessandro can adapt very quickly. I mean, especially here at Sepang, will be a little bit of tire conservation so that you can keep a good pace until the end of the race. So I'm sure we'll see all of the cars pushing the first few laps and then settling into a rhythm and trying to hold that pace to catch this man coming into the pit lane now.
Into the pits, our leader, Akish Nandi, 8.5 second advantage last time at the timing being over the car that Frankie Chen had driven, but Frankie's already come into the pits a lap before and handed over to James Yu Kwai. So I think pretty much this is the last of our stoppers. In the background you see Santoso coming out. What are we going to see here? Here, Alessandro, ooh, okay. So straightening up his entry into pit lane, Sandy. Not sure what to say about that one. Is that allowed? Has he actually cut the pit lane by doing that? I mean, there's definitely, when you're coming into pit lane, there is a white line you have to dictate, but in the pit lane?
Difficult one, actually.
Were you in the driver's briefing?
Yes, yes.
And did they mention
I mean, on the entry that near to it, they didn't really mention anything, so we'll see if the stewards take a look at it.
So Akish is able to stay in the car. Door open to try and get a little bit of cool air in. I don't know if it's cooler outside or inside, to be honest.
As a single driver, he has to exit the car, close the door, and re-enter. So.
Okay. Yes, there was some discussions. I mean, back in the olden days, it used to be get out the car, do a dance, and run around it and touch your nose before you got back in. But it was deemed that that was going to be a bit slow to do that. So now rolling down pit lane, and he's going to lose the lead here. Nandi has lost the lead to Goretti, and he's only just going to stay ahead of, is that James Yu Kwai, or is that Jackson Evans? That Jackson Evans in, no, it's James Yu Kwai in the 16, sorry. But already up to speed is James Yu Kwai.
Akash on cold tyres, let's see here, he's going to have to defend into T4.
James has won a race. He's won a race here in the past. He's a very, very fierce competitor. You wouldn't know it to meet him. He's such a kind, meek gentleman. But when he gets behind the wheel, there's almost a completely different James Yu Kwai. Been successful in the Audi TT Cup, moved into GT3 racing. That's 4 wins to his name and has Frankie Cheng alongside. And this is for silver honours and for second in the race right now. I can only explain that that was a slow stop for Akish Nandi, or an overly fast stop for Goretti. We have confirmed with race control that his line into pit lane is okay. It's always good to have the telephone to race control. I know that all the drivers do as well, or all the teams do. Into the pits comes Ben Porter, by the way, who is at the top of the timing screen because for a lap he was the leader of the race. But I don't have the timing screen, frustratingly, that tells us how quick the pit stops were, because Goretti was miles behind before the pit stops. I've got the pit stop times wrong for some reason. It's 90 seconds and 93, not 93 and 96. So, Goretti into the lead, and now the battle for second. James Yuan in the 16, Nandi in the 29. These two cars started on the front row. They're both silvers. They're fighting for silver honours.
Former teammates.
For second and third.
Yeah, I think they're both former teammates.
Oh, okay.
So they will know each other well.
Yeah, of course, James, for many years, racing for Absolute, especially as they were so integral to the Audi Sports Cup, the R8 LMS Cup that raced here in China, where James cut his teeth, really. So Audi Sport then taking him over to Phantom and to partner with Zheng Kongfu. But it now feels as though Akish Nandi has got himself back into that rhythm again.
Looks like his tires are up to temp, and now he's starting to settle down.
So apparently before the pit stops, Ron Huang, who got himself within 3 seconds of the Lamborghini, we perhaps didn't see that post the full course yellow. So he, as the amateur driver, got himself right into the window, which is given that 911 car a proper leg up and almost made it easy for Goretti to then take over in the lead. So, car 4, 5-second penalty for causing a collision. This is the collision, well, 2 collisions really, a little tap and another little tap. And so, where is that car now? Alessio Picariello is 7th spot, but actually, well, 6th on our timing tower on the left-hand side. Jackson Evans in the 15 behind is about 5 seconds back, so in theory, wouldn't lose a great deal of time. These two still stuck together. 2 works Porsche drivers. Picariello and Dorian Boccolacci, both heading over to Europe next weekend to race in the opening round of GT World Challenge Europe, a 6-hour encounter in Paul Ricard into the night. So a busy time for some of our GT drivers. But there is Goretti at the head of the field. And he's safe, isn't he? 5.3 the gap over Akish Nandi, who really at the moment is concentrating, well, certainly was concentrating on James Yuan, but it looks as though the gap is to a point where you're not looking in your mirrors.
Yeah, it looks like he's just managed to eke out a small gap to James now. 0.3 faster on his last lap, also faster than the current leader.
What about a bit further down? Just having a look to see who else might be moving through the field.
Yeah.
There's a good gaggle of cars actually for about 10th position, where you've got pro drivers in cars completely different level to the AM drivers that have taken over. And that's what's so fascinating about this point of any GT World Challenge race, is suddenly that the cards get shuffled another time.
Fastest car on track is the number 4 of Alessio, so pushing hard there.
So let's go down to Amy, who's down with Ron Huang. A brilliant first stint.
Here was one, I would say, MVP of the first stint. I asked your partner before this race, can Yuan hang with the silvers? And you did. Fantastic job. You must be proud of yourself.
Thank you so much. I'm quite a struggle first this thing, but I'm so proud of what we have done now so far. It's my first time with Porsche, but with this amazing team and amazing teammates, I learned a lot from them, so I'm so happy now.
And also your pit stop was so quick.
Yeah, I think compared with the silver class cars, we have 3 seconds advantage, and we pitting earlier compared with them. So I think we gain something.
All right, so hopefully see you two on the podium.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Further back, Bastian Boost down the inside of Jaitong Liang. That's for 13th position. Boost taking over from Inthapudasak, who was spun around at this point of the circuit. So trying to gain something, with points scored down to 10th position overall, and of course in class as well. But with a Pro-Am field of 10 cars, yes, she'll be scoring some points in the category, but overall no points for 14th. And Boost needs to get past Verhagen in the BMW, and Sepang and Vermeulen, names that will be comfortable in Europe as competition as well. Further back, here's Brendan Leach, and he's just passed Christian Colombo. Best laps overall from our race vision. Picriello with a 2/10 advantage over Miyake in the 500. I mean, that of course also slightly influenced by the space you have around the circuit to be able to pump in a lap time at that point.
Yeah.
Max Hussein slides up the inside of Christian Colombo as well, in pursuit of Brendan Leach, that iridescent Ferrari. They are, I don't know what happened to that Ferrari in the first stint, because they are a good 5 seconds back off the next Ferrari, which has got Adley Fong in it, in 16th spot. So either Andy Deng was doing a great job, of course, in the early part of the race, but you have to go down to Terry Vermeulen in 10th to find the first Ferrari, and they are invariably all Evo packages, so a brand new version of the 296. Just take a look at this number 72 of Brendan Leach as it comes through this final turn. Changes colour about 3 times when it goes. Just watch it all day. Fascinating. Goretti is your leader. 5 seconds he has over Akish Nandi, and still, well, actually, lapping equal to Nandi, a 2:06.0.
And James actually took a little bit out of them that lap. He's taken about a 10th out of Akash and Alessandro here. So all top 3, top 4 cars lapping very similar pace.
And there they are, just a little bit of breathing space for Nandi. But this is the challenge, the biggest challenge, I think, for Akish Nandi in this race. As you can see, just a single driver entry, and the fatigue, the heat, the lack of hydration will start to catch up with him now.
Yeah, I know they've put a drink bottle in for him, so he'll have some liquids at least, albeit warm at this stage, but better than nothing, as he's still got James right in his mirrors.
Got to try as much as he can to keep concentration. In the number 22 now, taken over from Liu, is Zhongwei Wang. We've had Wang Zhongwei with us for a couple of years. He's moved that Porsche from Absolute to Origin. Silver Ram is being led by Porsche Center Okazaki, with Kondo now aboard the number 25 machine, down in 9th position overall. Pro being led, of course, or Pro-Am being led by Goretti, and Silver by Nandi, our top 2. There is Kondo in 9th position, trying to find a way past the leading AM car, but that AM car really just can take a chill, because it's in 8th position, and its closest challenger is in 19th spot.
Yeah, they have a massive lead in their class.
It's Colombo in second, McPherson in third, and Mike Joe, whose car was spun around, in fourth position. The track limit penalty, though, coming in for car number 22, perhaps. I think I saw that right on my race control screen. And that is an absolute disaster, if that is the case, for this pink and white, almost pig-coloured car. Drives through, yeah. Gutted for the number 22. A drive-through penalty, what, 30, 40 seconds?
Oh, that'll be costly for them.
So that's going to drop them, probably, they will still be able to stay in the lead of the hour. It's going to drop them down to like 15th, 16th position, I think. I wonder if how much responsibility for track limit infringements Zhongwei Wang has versus his teammate. Is it cumulative between the two?
I'm not sure, actually, for this round.
I mean, I wouldn't have thought that Wang has had enough time in the car to be able to accumulate 5 warnings he needs before he gets a penalty. But either way, Kondo doesn't need to waste time challenging too hard. The team will be on the radio to him. Just relax, don't worry. Don't even worry, really, about the Ferrari behind. Thierry Vermeulen is catching, but he's a different class of car. And in comes 22 then. Out of the lead in AM, out of 8th position, some overall points. But Sandy, I'm right, he's probably going to come out in second, maybe, in AM?
Yes, it looks like that. The 75 has just left turn 14 and is coming down the back straight now as the 22 crawls down pit lane, 50 kilometers an hour.
So slow in comparison. Here comes Colombo into the last turn then. Well, getting back down. That's probably about 60, 70 kilometers an hour at the final turn.
Oh, it's going to be very
It's actually going to put us in a nice little race for the final 15 minutes. Back out of pit lane and up to speed now, and it's tight. He is going to hold on to the lead. It was
Looks
close,
like he
was it?
almost crossed the line.
Crossing the white line.
I think he was safe there.
Yeah, absolutely. He stayed ahead. Now, just needs to get back up to confident speed again. Christian Colombo is the Ferrari head coach for their FFX program, and he's at all the Ferrari challenge races in Asia Pacific. So, you know, he's a proper professional racing driver. And so will know many of the tricks of the trade to try and chase down Wang. His best result, actually, was in Shanghai. He got an overall, 2 overall podiums in his career alongside Patrick Pilet and Ralph Aron. So he's no stranger to being right up there. As we go back to our leading Silva, second position, and more that gap grows between him and James Yu Kwai. He just needs to really focus in and make sure that he's not losing too much concentration. Here's Neil Verhagen, sits in 11th position, so just out of the points for himself and Tony Ruan. But definitely catching is Bastien Bus. And that will be some consolation. And still want to get up to 10th position, but I think Sepang, yeah, just there, just out of shot. So that Mercedes is holding on to 1 point.
Yeah, Bastien in the 918 Porsche has just got a few tenths in hand on the 2 cars in front.
He's definitely closed down that gap over the last couple of laps, hasn't he? I remember at the start of the season last year, the BMW's slightly struggling here at this circuit, but as the season went on, as we visited different circuits, it found its feet. Particularly good, I seem to remember, in the Japanese circuits, in Fuji and Okayama. Visit those 2 in July and August. Just one change from the calendar last year, an extra Chinese race, making our way back to Shanghai. And no trip to Chang, which I'm sure is a shame for you, Sandy, as much as for me.
Yes, very sad for me.
Plenty of, but at least you get a chance to race there in TSS. It's fond memories of Buriram, but a difficult one for the championship, and of course with so much Chinese interest. I think we had 28 Chinese drivers at the end of last year. Logical to add a second Chinese race at the home of the Chinese Grand Prix, of course, as well. Max Husend, he was the big BMW star. He's still a silver, so despite being as strong as he was, he is still graded as a silver driver, chasing down Brendan Leach, who I think is a gold-rated driver. And KRC splitting their efforts to 2 cars this year. Remember, it was just the one, the 89, that Max shared with Tony. But now Max is with a new teammate, with Brian Lee. And the reason why they're this far down, of course, is that Brian got that penalty for contact in pit lane before the start of the race. So Max just trying to limit the damage as much as possible. But at the moment, they are the last Silver Am car and quite a way away from their next competitor. Here's Alessandro Goretti. Father Alain used to race in Formula 3000 back in the 1980s. So very much motorsport in their blood. Although a little bit tricky to practice motorsport when their parents moved to Morocco, Alessandro was telling me. So at that point, he's focused on racing in Italy in karting. Obviously, the home of karting anyway, and anybody who wants a decent career in motorsport tends to head that direction, or certainly traditionally used to. Can go racing in Morocco. There is an FIA Grade 2 circuit in Marrakesh. Started its life as a street circuit. It's a bit more permanent now. Looking at the battle for 15th, so this is 14th actually. Adli Fong getting ahead of Seiji Ara. Yes, the same Ara that won Le Mans back in 2004 overall. That car with the same lineup as the last couple of years. Always great to have Plus Racing with us. Seiji Ara and Tomo Yamaguchi was the AM in that car. It's their 4th season. But Adli Fong making light work of the BMW. He's just scuttled past.
Yeah, it looks like he's flying. Will also be a question of who saved their tires better now. We will start to see the gaps increase. The cars that have used a bit too much of their tires early on in the stint will be struggling now. So here's where we see more of the strategy implemented by the drivers and the teams.
So is there a big drop-off on the tires then?
There's a significant drop-off, especially if you're pushing hard. If you slide the rear a lot, then the tires are going to fall off the cliff. So most of the drivers have done a very good job. The drop-off now looks only to be around 2 seconds.
Great work from Elias Sepang in the Climax Mercedes. Look at the progress that he's made up into the top 10. So he's got himself a championship point now. He's 2nd in Silver Am. I'm just trying to see how close Thierry Vermeulen is. 2.6 seconds back from Vermeulen. So he's made up 9 places from where they started, right at the tail of the field. But those race progression graphics are always very dynamic when you have 2 driver races like this. And Sepang, you can see where the pit stop was actually, where the car lost ground. But Sepang definitely on the upward trajectory, chasing down Vermeulen. Great to have Thierry Vermeulen back. Joined Andy Tan last year in Mandalika in that Ferrari, just for a one-off. And obviously, Anderson, great to have him with us properly at the start of the season, although that is a race-by-race entry. They finished 10th in Mandalika, but Andy's actually only ever done 6 races, or 3 weekends in GT World Challenge Asia. A lot of racing in Ferrari Challenge, but personally requested to have Thierry Vermeulen with him, and they're in 9th, so this is the best result of Andy Tan's GT World Challenge career, and it is proper points again. A lot of these drivers starting their life off in those sort of one-make Lamborghini Trofeo and Ferrari Challenge cars, but the jump between those type of a car and this is pretty big, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly into GT3 with so much more grip. You get to use some aero as well, which is not something you really find in those GT Cup cars. So yeah, quite a learning curve for some of the drivers, but in many ways the GT3 communicates itself better to you. So you could say easier maybe to drive, or the car is more communicative, so it gives you a lot more feedback, and as a driver that's always appreciated.
Just 6 minutes remaining of this first race here at Sepang. Goretti getting himself into a little bit of traffic by the looks of things, and the number 8 machine of Mike Joe gets himself out of the way. Did part season last year, didn't Mike? We lost him about midway through the year. He was in that silver Mercedes last year. So no stranger to the Mercedes, and interesting to see himself and Setuan teaming up and carrying the Setuan colours aboard that Climax car. Setuan moving that car from Craft Bamboo to Climax. Craft Bamboo still running a Mercedes, but just the one car for Jiatong Liang at this first race. They are up in 13th position at the moment, but a podium in Silver Am for Liang and Dean Chen. We're talking about drop-off and talking about sort of the end of the race. Look at the lap times now. We've gone to a 2:07.9.
Yeah. So just 4 or 5 laps ago, they were lapping in low 7s. So now we're really starting to see the end of the life of those tires. And it's really going to be up to the drivers now to square off those exits. No unnecessary slide, no wheel spin, because you don't want to put any more heat through those rears than is absolutely necessary.
And does do they degrade at different rates? Is it more the rear, more the front? I suppose that's track dependent, is it?
Yeah, certainly at Sepang we see a lot more on the rear. These high speed sweepers here really knacker the rear tires. So keeping them in check has been one of the key objectives of all the teams now. Working out a setup, maybe they've done something with the springs, with the ride height, just to compromise the car a little bit for the race, but extend the life of the tire.
To the degree of sort of starting with a slightly understeery car and then allowing it to become an oversteery car by the end?
Yes. So that is the thinking. As the rears go away, the grip on the rear starts to disappear, and here we can see James really working that wheel on the entries. If we stay on him in 14, we'll get a really good look on how his rear tires are doing here. Fairly early on the brake. Yeah, look at that. He's very ginger with the turn in. He doesn't want to turn in too much because then the rear's just going to step out. So really well driven by all these top cars now.
It's a great corner that to show exactly the dynamic, right? Because you're having to do everything with the car, whether it be braking or turning or accelerating.
Yes, I mean turn 14 is a very difficult, very technical corner where it's constantly changing radius. So
see how the Nissan's getting on for Atsushi Miyake. So one of those young stars in Super GT, a race winner in Super GT in the 500 class. Those are beasts. They race here actually in Sepang, one of their flyaway events.
See the TC working there out of the corner. He has to correct it a tiny bit, but he was very square on exit, so he's got a good run now down into turn 4.
So it's not a case of the pro drivers turn TC off completely and the AMs use it a lot. There's sort of a balance, isn't
No, in fact, the modern day TCs are quite intuitive, they're quite smart, and you can use the systems to really give you a few more laps on the tire. Here we see the 918.
Oh, Bastian Bass looked down the inside of Neil Verhagen for 11th position. Not quite the space. This would be 5th in Pro-Am, no 6th in Pro-Am. But still, with Sepang in front, no points on offer. And there's a little bit of a hole there for Max Hussein to squiggle down the inside of Brendan Leach as they both get themselves behind Sergei Ara in 15th position. There's still plenty of battles going on. And Leach has lost out there. BMW versus BMW. Ara definitely losing a lot in this second stint against the other pros out there. Max being greedy with the curves, kicking up the dust and even looking down the inside. This is not a place you usually overtake. I wonder whether there's a problem with that the number 5 car, because he just seems to be being attacked at every single corner. There's flashing lights, there's noses down the inside. Let's see what happens here. A more conventional overtaking opportunity.
As he goes for it.
Oh, not quite got the overlap though. Sage, you may have seen him a little bit late there. And now has to go around the outside. Is that going to work? This is where Brendan needs to get his nose back in line and try and snatch an opportunity, because Max Hussein well offline there. Doesn't get the move made, and he's going for another unconventional one down the inside here. Wow, Seiji Ara was very, very kind to allow that to work. And here comes Brendan Leach down the inside as well. Steals the position. Dare I say it, picks the pocket. And now the battle continues between Hussein and Ara, and Leach, sorry. Still Leach having to defend from Ara, trying to go around the outside. Because, of course, by doing the overtake, he's compromised his speed along the straight.
Yep, and the BMW normally has good legs on the straight, so let's see if he can line something up on the outside of T1.
Brute of the BMW. Trying to go around the outside, but Brendan has the inside line. And through the rest of the lap, looking at what was going on last lap, you would expect Brendan now to settle in and disappear. But I think BMW Plus Racing have got some head scratching to do for that car for tomorrow. And one final corner for Alessandro Gueretti. On his debut in the series, his fellow countryman Dorian Boccalacci starred on his debut, but just missed out on a win. And a few years later, it's another Frenchman, another young star, who has taken victory on his first time of asking for Absolute Racing. The 911 takes the win. Second for Akish Nandi in the Lamborghini. And James Yu Kwai comes over the line in third spot, with Miyake fourth for Nissan and third silver. It's going to be second in Pro-Am for Boccalacci, who's held on in front of Piccirillo. And then Jackson Evans in the second of the Audis. That's a good day for Audi in 7th position. But really, you have to say, you have to tip your hat to Ron Juan, because it was his stint, at the end of the stint, that did enough to allow Gueretti to take that victory. And still the battles go on, as still Bastian Buus tries to find a way past Verhagen, but there is no space. And they'll come to the line in 11th and 12th. It'll all be a very different looking race tomorrow when the pros begin. Craft Bamboo's Jaiton Yang comes over the line in 13th position. And it is going to be Wang, despite the drive-through penalty, that is going to take the victory in AM. What an adventure for the number 22 car that was at the sharp end of the field as an AM car in the first part of the race. Over the line to take the wing, but only just, as Christian Colombo shadows him over the line for second spot. McPherson has already come over the line a lap down. And Mike Joe will be the 4th of the AM cars. But you have to say, Goretti kind of had the easy part of the race, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Ron, he had a fantastic first stint and quietly just stayed behind the silvers, you know, almost out of sight. And then when it was time for pit stop, they executed perfectly. And I think they even managed to do a little bit of an undercut on the silvers there.
A little bit of an undercut before the pit stop of Nandi, and then after. Those first couple of laps on fresh tyres from Goretti, knowing that actually he didn't have a huge gap to make up, considering Nandi would have an extra 3 seconds in the pit lane, and it was just enough. In the end, you would say that with a gap of 6.8 seconds, probably a pass would have been made on track, but there's one thing catching, there's another thing passing.
Yeah.
So it will be another Porsche victory, their 21st victory in GT World Challenge Asia. And a great way to kick off the season. I think I'm right in saying, well, this 911 car missed out on a win last year and only got itself one podium in the hands of Wang Zhongwei and, for the most part, Patrick Pilet. Just speculating that Absolute Racing's Porsches didn't get a single win last year. I might be being unfair, but I think that is correct. And so that's a big step up when you've got the likes of Phantom, when you've got the likes of Origin, all fighting against each other. There's a big competition to be the Porsche customer service victors. Down in Parc Fermé, it is Absolute Racing, and it is Ron Yuan and Alessandro Goretti.
Good drive, good drive. Let's go. Where's Rick?
Plenty of celebrations. Goretti kind of used to winning in Super Cup last year, in Carrera Cup, and the year before that. But this is a different type of racing. He's not able to set that car up, Sandy, like he wants it to be. It has to be a compromise between himself and Ron.
Yeah, but he's got a very strong teammate in Ron. Very shiny bronze, we call him, and he showed it today. I mean, his pace was fantastic, and that's all due to the work that they've been doing behind the scenes with the engineers, setting that car up for both for quali and this race.
An Absolute Racing 1-2, although this is called Absolute Corso, it is basically the same team. It comes out the same garage. And there is the smiles. A very, very, very happy Ron Huang, who's just been able to sit in the pit box and enjoy his teammate banging in the laps safely, not taking too much time out of Akish, just doing enough. I'm trying to see where Akish is, actually, because we knew how hard it was going to be for him to do both stints.
Yeah, he is out of the car and walking around.
Good.
It's good to see.
That's good to know. But he and the Audi of Frankie Chen and James Yu Kwai will carry big penalties into tomorrow's race. We'll go into that in more detail in tomorrow's race. Reminder, that's around 11:30 local time tomorrow. If you do want to follow on GT World, the pros will start the race and then hand over to the AMs for the second half. And it is Bastian Buus who has the pole position. The other Absolute Racing Porsche, the 918, which was spun around when Wittekorn was in the car earlier on. So another opportunity for Absolute Racing to get some more silverware. Let's go down to Amy and catch up with our winners.
Here with the winners of the very first race of the season 2026. Congratulations, you two. I have to say, I must give it to Yuan. Your stint was perfect. How was it for you once again?
To be honest, it's not easy because the silver drivers are on me. They definitely on new tires. I was on the fresh, so it's quite a struggle, like 5 or 6 laps. But we luckily got the focus yellow. I was in the corner, so I gained like 2 seconds. So make our job a little bit easier. And this man did a phenomenal job. I love this man. This young man.
So he loves Alessandro. You had a hot lap as well, but stint as well. But yeah, you were kind of cruising though.
Yeah, exactly. We knew it would be tough because we had no new tires, because we put 2 sets in qualifying. So yeah, it was tough, but Absolute Racing did amazing. Ron did a super good job. Then I had the car in the perfect condition. I just had to go push until the end, and then we just made it P1 overall. Such a good achievement, I believe. So I'm really happy, and I'm thankful to everybody for it.
Perfect day for you too. Let's go to the podium. Congratulations again.
So did I hear that correctly, that both Ron and Alessandro were running used tyres there?
That's incredibly impressive, especially from Ron there to stay with the silvers on fresh tyres. Really fantastic job by the 911 crew.
So just to clarify on that, they do get 5 sets of new tyres, but of course that's spread across the full weekend. You want to be changing tyres between each race. So in theory, you'd have 4 new sets just for the races, and then you want 2 new sets for qualifying as well. So there is a strategy to play, and we saw in qualifying Goretti using 2 sets of new tyres in his qualifying session.
And here was Akash Nandi. You look like a lobster out of the boiling pot. It was tough for you. It was, I guess, the 3 seconds that made the deal.
Yes, definitely. But in the end, it was still a really good result. P1 in silver. And to drive the whole race solo with this kind of heat is, I think, something to be proud of. And I would take this more of a win than a second overall.
Absolutely. Fantastic job you did. And let's hope for another one tomorrow.
Thank you.
I get the feeling he might be sleeping well tonight, and I hope the air conditioning is really working at home.
Yeah, he needs a big dinner and a lot of rest after that.
Got to do the same thing again, right in the middle of the day. Races 11:30 to 12:30 tomorrow in the heat of the day. And from what I understand, it's the heat at the moment here in Malaysia is sort of record temperatures. Very, very warm.
Yeah.
Here are the results then of GT World Challenge Asia powered by AWS. Sepang Race 1 with Absolute Racing's 911 taking the win in Pro-Am and winning in silver with their Lamborghini. The Silver Am category win goes to Porsche Center Okazaki, with Origin Motorsports winning in Am despite having themselves a drive-through penalty for track limits. Goretti wins by 6.8 seconds over Nandi in the end. There was less than a second gap, with James Yu Kwai keeping the Lamborghini honest all the way through that second stint. Team Gojigen in their silver in 4th position. Second of the Pro-Ams to Phantom Global Racing, with Origin just behind. They stuck together like glue, those two, by the end, although actually Picarillo losing a lot of time on that last lap or two. Evans in 7th, Uchima and Kondo the winning Silver Am in 8th position. Vermeulen and Tan 9th, and Climax Racing, Sepanen and Liu getting themselves in 10th position. Further down, the best of our AM category cars, the Origin Motorsport number 22 in 18th in the end, but it was in the top 10 for a lot of the race. Garage 75 in 2nd and AMAC Motorsport in 3rd. We had 2 retirements, the Ferrari of Andy Dung running to a halt, and collision damage for Nagai in the number 18 Porsche Center Okazaki Porsche. Did see a couple of other cars go around and compromise. Santoso was facing the wrong direction at one point, as was Vitakorn Interpuvasak. Other stories such as the number 10 machine of Brian Lee getting a penalty early doors. They ended up fighting hard at the end to get themselves some consolation prizes, but ultimately missing out in the top 10.
Welcome to the podium ceremony for race 1 of the GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS at Sepang International Circuit. We will start the ceremony with the GT3 overall winners. We welcome with big applause. On third place, car number 16, Chen Kung-Fu Yu Kwai.
Once again, the biggest opportunity for silver category cars was the start of the season where there was no success penalties being applied. And so an important result for Frankie Cheng and James Yu Kwai.
And our overall winners on first place, car number 911, Juan Rohan Alessandro Giretti.
Do you think Akish is going to be disappointed with second, or, you know, that the maximum he could have done today?
Definitely looked like he was a little bit gutted out of the car, but he's done an incredible job. I mean, still silver P1, but yeah, being so close to the win.
It's very good points. And remember, the target and the reason why he's choosing to do it on his own is because he feels that's going to give him his best opportunity to win the overall title. But it certainly looks like it's taken a lot out of him. I mean, he could have chosen perhaps an easy car. Like, I do know that from what I've spoken to various drivers, the Mercedes is a lovely car to drive. It's nice and comfortable. It's everything works. It's designed for the amateur driver in mind, whereas the Lamborghini far more a car that is designed for the pro. But maybe, I mean, Mercedes taking victory in Phillip Island last weekend, taking victory in Sonoma last weekend. That's actually the first Porsche win in GT World Challenge this season. In the global rankings, anyway.
And also a photo with the media at the wall, please.
And good to see that despite the Audi being originally 10 years old now, it's still competitive, and that's the wonderful thing about Balance of Performance, is it can keep cars way beyond their sell-by date, still competitive, and we see that with the Nissan as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of the BOP. Enable everyone to compete for the win.
Oh, come on, Akish. He's probably just going to pour that over his own head, isn't it? I'm hoping it's been refrigerated. Although, I think there's a strategy in champagnes. If you put the champagne bottle in the fridge and then put it on the podium, they tend to explode. So there's this. So you don't want to do that from a podium coordinator's perspective, but from a driver's perspective, you want to pour nice cold champagne down your neck.
Definitely.
Yeah, different championships have different ways of putting the champagne on the podium. Take the cork off, leave the cork on, take the wire off. That creates a damage. Here's the overall driver standings then after round one. And as you have seen on the podium then, the result. Absolute Racing Porsche with 25 points, with Absolute Racing's Lamborghini 18, and then Team Phantom with 15 and Team Gojigen with 12. I wonder how Phantom Global Racing's Anthony Liu and Ray Liu will be feeling after that. It was a very sort of so-so day, wasn't it? They didn't really shine.
They were always in a fight, so I think they never managed to utilize their true pace, and perhaps we'll see more of that tomorrow.
But with those silver cars so strong in this first race, we will see them be less strong in race two. We'll certainly have a less strong starting position in race two, and that should help. Now, look, you see, Anthony's already getting his champagne prepared. There's a man that's done a few years of GT World Challenge.
He knows the game.
He knows the game. There's more of a... Well, they're all at it now. Gosh.
Oh, it was risky.
Well, it is risky.
Could pop at any moment.
Yeah, and it gets you on the chin. So this is the Pro-Am podium. So we remove those silver cars. Boccalacci and Picriello. So that's an all Porsche podium then for Pro-Am. And effectively, Absolute Racing beating Phantom Global and then Origin in the battle of the Porsche teams.
Let's get all together for a photo.
wonder how Origin are coping without having Bob and Leo this year, because last year they had Bob and Leo and they had Lu Wei and obviously the pro driver that came along with Lu. So you've almost got a bigger team to compare notes with than now just the one crew.
Yeah, I mean, having two cars, you can run setups differently and then use that data to feed back and then ultimately create an ideal setup. So having just the one car to experiment with limits you a little bit like that.
Plenty of experience in the hands of the number 4, Lu Wei. Next weekend will be race number 40 for him. 6 wins to his name. Well, actually, sorry, tomorrow will be his 40th race. Today was his 39th. And it will be Alessio's 50th race in the championship. So there are the points for Pro-Am with Ron and Alessandro, Anthony and Dorian, and Weilu and Alessio. And then those off the podium, Andres Pato and Jackson Evans, Andy Tan and Thierry Vermeulen. See, only 3 weekends, and Andy Tan up there in 5th position in his Absolute Corsa Ferrari. And Neil Verhagen, rookie to the championship, in 6th position with his teammates. Onto the silver podium then, that brings the Nissan onto the podium, and the only team to bring flags to every race around the world. Great support from Nismo, and so important to have them in the championship and have that extra brand, especially with our races in Japan. Interesting to see the decision from Nismo to switch up the lineup from last year to this, because you got the feeling last year with Hirobon and Yu Kanemaru that they were really starting to make inroads with podiums and class wins in the second half of the season. The very last race in Beijing, they took victory in race 1. And I wonder how they would have carried that momentum through to this year, but clearly this lineup of Aoki and Miyake, despite the lack of experience in this championship, they are very much there. Nissan, Audi, Lamborghini, your podium in silver. And it's great also to see that Lamborghini now on song and working. Very exciting to have that brand in the championship. Of course, they came in with VSR 2 years ago, I think it was, in Okayama. And then Absolute taking over. And then now Lamborghini strong again. Looking forward to seeing what Akish Nandi can do tomorrow. Racing again tomorrow in Sepang. Make sure you're with us. It's going to be great. Just 4 cars in the silver category. So the car we missed off the podium was that Ferrari of Andy Dung and Kai-Sheng Liu. And unfortunately, Kai-Sheng not getting in the car and the team not getting any points because they didn't finish the race either. And that's a in a championship like that, where they're just 4 cars, that's a big hit.
Yeah, that's a big hit. So they're going to have to really hope that they can sort the issues out overnight and then come back tomorrow and put on a strong performance and hopefully start to reduce that gap to the top 3.
Worth mentioning, as we're looking at Akish Nandi there and James Yu Kwai, both entrants into the GT Academy Championship that is sort of a part of each of our championships around the world. An opportunity to drive in the 2027 Spa 24 hours, and lots of different parameters being adjudged. Consistency, lap time, consecutive lap times across 10 laps, involvement in incidents, all kinds of things like that. We've got 7 drivers, and I can't believe that Akish Nandi is one of them, because it means he's under 30, which makes me feel incredibly old. He's been around for years, hasn't he?
Yeah, I remember racing in GP3 with Akash in 2016.
Right, okay.
So we've been around for a while.
Please tell me you're over 30.
Yes, I am.
Because I can't believe he is.
I don't qualify for the GT Academy.
It's great. There's plenty of opportunities through the umbrella title of GT Academy to, with SRO really investing in young talent, and will be interesting to see who comes out on top after this weekend. Because of the complex nature of the maths, we will find out at the end of the weekend who is the strongest driver. That's already published from last weekend's events in America and Australia. So a silver Ram podium. And that's the Porsche Center Okazaki combo, Japanese combo of Kondo and Uchiyama, sorry. Sepang and Lee. And first event for Dean Chen, and first podium for Craft Bamboo alongside Jai Tong Liang. Interesting to see his progress this year. Doesn't have a huge amount of experience, Dean Chen, in GT3. But kept the car on the island. That's the most important thing. Got himself to the end of the race. That number 77 finishing 13th. And actually, Silver Ram is the most, it's slightly more competitive than Pro-Am. Pro-Am with 10 entries, Silver Ram with 5. But 13th, right in the middle of the pack. Missing out on the podium then, the Ferrari of Adli Fong. It's just one position back. And also the BMW of Max Hussein and Brian Lee there, but both finishing the race, therefore getting points for 4th and 5th, unlike we saw from the 96 car. Lili Chao, Ellis Sepang in second behind Uchima and Kondo, with Dean Chen and Jai Tong Liang in third. That was Jay-Z's 50th race in GT World Challenge Asia, getting himself in 4th spot behind Adli Fong. Previously known under various different names, but for this year, Jay-Z Sun. Yingzhu, his full name.
Car number 22, Liu Hanzheng, Wang Zhangwei.
Always the most entertaining podium a lot, the AM podium, because these boys absolutely love what they do. Andrew McPherson and Ben Porter, 3rd position there. I'm sure over the year we'll see various different combos. David and Christian on the left-hand side in 2nd spot. And that number 22 of Liu Hangcheng and Wang Zhongwei taking the AM victory. Both doing great jobs. You have to say, even that 2nd stint, despite the track limit infringement, I mean, they could have been top 10.
Yeah, I mean, what a drive. For them to do a drive-through in the closing stages of the race and still be in the lead of their class, I mean, it just goes to show the pace and what good of a job that they had each done in their stints. Okay, maybe they had a few track limits here and there, but ultimately their pace was good enough and they deserved the win today.
Brand new car for Amac, for Andrew McPherson and Ben Porter. They're now up to speed. They've always been a Porsche behind everybody else. But now they've got themselves the same spec, and they get themselves a third spot.
I mean, they've been here from the very beginning of GT World Challenge Asia, so great to see them regulars on the podium.
Exactly. Ben Porter with the same amount of starts as Frankie Cheng. Andrew McPherson just a weekend behind, because here last year he was ill. And so he was entered, but he never took part in the race. So unfortunately sits one weekend behind Frankie and Ben. 41 weekends of GT World Challenge Asia racing so far. So getting close to the 50th. That'll happen, I suppose that'll happen this year. No, not quite. Have to wait till next year. And here are the AM points then after that first weekend, with Mike Joe and Setuan Santoso in 4th position. Setuan with that spin just before he handed over to Mike Joe, and Mike not looking his usual self in the second stint at all. But expecting to get them back up. I don't know why Ben Porter decided not to have a photo. The rock star that he is. So here's the manufacturer global points, which combines what we've had here in Asia with America and Australia. Mercedes holding on despite less strong here than previous weekends. Porsche up to second ahead of Audi, Ferrari, Lamborghini and BMW. Here are the highlights then from race 1 here in Sepang, and it was a good start from Akish Nandi in the Lamborghini from pole position cleanly into turn 1 without any challenge from behind. Frankie Cheng in the Audi slotting into 2nd position, and then a contest for 3rd. Trying to go around the outside, Andres Pato gave us lots of entertainment in the number 15 Audi, with Ron Yuan in the 911 Porsche in the mix as well. Wei Lu and Anthony Liu also trying to get past Pato at one point, and contact further back as Vutakon into Pubisek got turned around, but Nagai, no penalty necessary because Nagai ended up retired, as did Andy Dung, which caused a full course yellow. At the resumption of racing, Anthony Liu with a much better reaction, and Wei Lu losing a position at that point. And those two cars actually would stay in that order for the remaining part of the race, even after the safety car, even after the pit stops. Just before the pit stops, a little bit of contact between Pato and Wei. That gave a 5-second penalty to the number 4 machine. And then the pit stops from AM to Pro. Akish Nandi in the Lamborghini on his own, so his pit stop 3 seconds slower than the rest. And he lost the lead and nearly lost 2nd position to James Yu Kwai. Yu Kwai stronger on that first lap on the tyres, but ultimately Akish Nandi doing the full race was able to hold on to 2nd. Alessandro Gueretti taking over the 911. Really didn't have much to do other than keep it on the island. The Frenchman Super Cup champion last year, Carrera Cup champion the year before, and now leads GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS, after race 1 here in Sepang, alongside his teammate Ron Yuan. Akish Nandi holding on to 2nd, with James Yu Kwai and Frankie Cheng in 3rd. An entertaining encounter, absolute racing 1-2 here in Sepang, race 1. All planning, it's all planning.